Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Shiv Verma. I'm the CFO of Robinhood.
That's right.
Very excited conversation
That's
today.
who
We are
you are.
live here in the headquarters of OpenAI in San Francisco to have a great conversation. We are hosted by Sarah Fryar, the
Thumbs
Chief
up this
Financial
video.
Officer of OpenAI today. Sarah, thank you so much for having us.
All right. Well, it's the blacksmith back again with another one. And Robinhood so graciously uploaded this video. And I said, Money man to money man. She's a woman. But CFO to CFO, this is about to be legendary, guys. So strap in. We are about to talk money. CFO, Chief Financial Officers meeting at the table. This is Robinhood and OpenAI. Now, two things to know really quickly before we get into the video is that OpenAI CFO, remember, OpenAI is not actually the company's not public yet, right? So they're a private company. And why is that important? Because Shiv Verma is Robinhood CEO. They started this fund here, RVI, Robinhood Ventures Fund, I. They started this so that the common man could invest into private companies. And he's sitting there talking to the woman who is the money man for OpenAI, the probably the highest evaluated company privately ever, and when they IPO, the highest valuation in history. When they IPO, ChatGPT is not owned by Microsoft; it's owned by OpenAI. That's who this lady is, right? That's who she manages the money for. All right, so let's get into it.
Welcome. No, Shiv and team, we're so happy to have you. You're a great customer, but also not a great partner. So thanks for being here.
Exactly. So the reason we're here is exactly that. We are now an investor in OpenAI through our fund, Robinhood Ventures Fund 1. Super
Beat 'em
excited
to
for
it.
all customers to have access to it. When we take a step back, our mission at Robinhood is to democratize finance for all. And the vision of the fund was to invest in frontier technology companies. And I can't think of a better company than OpenAI to be in the portfolio.
Yeah.
So we're going to learn more about it. Just want to have our customers and investors hear from you directly. And let's dive in.
Sounds
Let's
great.
go,
Let's
Shiv.
So everybody knows OpenAI since the viral ChatGPT moment in 2022. But just to level set, could you tell us a little about the scale of OpenAI today and what you're really excited about?
Sure. So you're right. Viral chat moment at the end of 22. And I think OpenAI today is still at its core a research and deployment house. Research is the core of all that we do. We've had many breakthroughs since then to reasoning at the end of 24 that really brought us to this era of agentic technology. Codex as our coding agent is kind of the first and really the biggest takeoff that we've seen. But of course, we now see this world where everyone's going to have a personal assistant at their side. Today, we serve over 900 million consumers on ChatGPT. But on the enterprise side, which is getting close, it's not quite 50% of our business today, but it's getting close. We're at about 60-40. We are starting to see enterprises from the smallest in the world, the entrepreneur that's just getting going, all the way up to literally the largest enterprises in the world. Yesterday, I was with a group in the banking sector. So folks like BNY, the oldest bank here
Bank
in
of
the
New
United
York.
States, BBVA, a huge bank that services Europe and LATAM. They have, I think, 120,000
Let me
people
look that up.
utilizing our products inside BBVA. And then folks like American Express and Travelers. That's just one sector. I could go sector by sector, but really the scale of the opportunity just continues to grow.
So the consumer side, many people are
That's her
familiar
name,
with the consumer
Sarah
side,
Fryar.
but I think one thing that's more recent is the ad business.
Yeah.
Would love to learn
Let's
more
go.
about that. Why you think that's great for customers? Why it's great for advertisers? What's the vision there? How big could it be?
Yeah, so as you say advertising, I also hear access. And I kind of loved how you started by saying what Robinhood stands for. Which
That's
is
right.
The idea of democratizing access.
That's right.
And in our mission
getting
statement,
too hype.
OpenAI is AGI for the benefit of people everywhere. And that means access. So today of those 900
Agentic
million
AI.
consumers,
Okay.
95% of them, 95% get it for free. Now to do that and to keep driving a great experience, we're looking at ads as a way to monetize, but it's really to create more access. So one of the things I see in our daily actives A free daily active user uses about 7 turns per day, is what we say internally, but it means kind of 7 questions.
Okay.
If you look at our next tier up, once you start paying a subscription, so our gold tier, they go to about 15 turns per day. Our plus, which is our next up subscription, gets to about 3x, and then pro, where you see a lot of devs, for example, about 11x. But what is that telling me as a CFO? It says as people understand what intelligence can do for them, they use it a lot more. And it kind of reminds me of back in the day when I first got my cell phone. It was a flip phone. You know, I was like, well, it makes calls, and that was quite useful. But as I started to get a smartphone and could see that this thing was not just making calls, I could text on it, I could communicate in different ways. But now I can order food, I can order a car, I can buy a new pair of shoes, like all the things I love to do. You start to see the value. And so going back to ads is a way to help us monetize in a way to create more cash flow that we invest back into the business and give more access to those users that want to use it for free. Now, on the other side, of course, advertising will only work if you have great advertisers who want to be on your platform. And what we see within ChatGPT is there are many things that people are doing where there's a very natural motion to bring an advertiser in.
Hold on one
Help me
second.
find a great weekend getaway. That is an amazing time to
Okay.
go work with a Booking.com
Sorry.
and Expedia, for example. Help me find a new pair of shoes. That is a great moment. What are they for? Oh, it looks like you were trying to get healthy. Looks like you might be trying to run. Here's some ideas of running shoes that might work specifically for you. And I think what we're going to see in that advertising motion is way more conversational advertising, which we've never had before, because you actually could never really do it at mass scale. And so I'm pretty excited about both sides of the network. And to your point, we're still very, very early. I think our ad platform's been alive for about 8 weeks. But as of actually last Friday, we just went from the US into Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. So we're starting our move around the world as well.
Oh, that's very
So y'all are getting a sneak peek, kind of like this is. I saw what this was right away when she started talking. When he asked her the question and she got into it, maybe a minute into it. This is a sneak peek at like an earnings call for OpenAI. She just told you the direction that their platform is going. What'd she say? 8 weeks advertising platform. So she just told you the direction of OpenAI. This is going to be one of the largest. This is probably going to be the largest IPO in history. Okay, when they IPO. So listen, folks, I need you to strap in and pay attention because this OpenAI conversation is monumental.
cool. And we're happy to be a pilot partner in it.
Thank you.
For our advertising team, what gets us excited is it's high intent. So customers are trying to solve a problem, and then you can surface the solution to that problem. There's no better place that we'd like to try to tie that. So super excited to see how it goes out.
And maybe just one more thing to say on it. There's still a North Star that there has to be trust. The user has to know that the model is returning the best possible answer, not the sponsored answer.
That's
You don't
right.
wanna go down that track.
That's right.
Not selling your data to advertisers. but
That's
rather
right.
Using the
That's
intent
what
of the
people hate.
conversation to bring an advertiser like Robinhood to you in a moment where you're asking about the market. Like, how could I begin to invest? You know, I have late teenagers.
Let's talk about this really quickly. So Meta got in trouble for this some years ago about allegedly. I think it might be allegedly, or they might have actually gotten in trouble. But I remember Mark Zuckerberg was in front of Congress talking about this, selling people's data to companies and whatnot. I'll say allegedly, just in case it could be true, it could be out there, it could have been adjudicated already, but I'm not bringing a lawsuit against me and in this forge, right? So here's the thing. That's what people don't like. Data is the most valuable thing out there, information, right? And if you think about it, it always has been, right? If you watch the Game of Thrones or you watch any show where, you know, you have a king or any monarchy show, you got a king on the throne. A lot of times, especially in these really good shows, they actually show who runs the kingdom. Information and how quickly it could travel really altered everything. That's why they use the ravens, the crows, the pigeons, because the hawks, they could fly, the falcons, they could fly a lot faster than men could travel on horses. When you travel on horseback, you got to worry about robbers, thieves. You got to worry about, the horse breaking a leg and you starving on your journey, you going the wrong way. There were no GPSs back in. How fast information could travel, and the whispers in the kingdom and stuff like that. You really learn that data and information was super secret, which is why they listen. This is way back. Go to England, way back. Go to any monarchy. Remember, they used to roll up the parchment and put the king's seal on it. If the seal was broken, you couldn't trust the info because somebody looked at it already, right? Data is so important. So I had to stop it there and talk about that. All right, let's continue.
Years now, early 20s. And one of the things I'm doing is a lot of financial literacy. How do I teach them to think about the market? And a Robinhood account is a great way to do that, and a great search that they might do on ChatGPT and find their way to you.
100%. So that's the consumer side. If we go to the enterprise side, you mentioned it could be as big as the consumer business.
Yeah.
Would love to know a little about that. What are you most excited about? You mentioned Frontier. There's also Codex, your coding tool. Before I left, I had to do a couple things for me. Would love to learn a little bit about the size and scale of the enterprise business, Codex, anything else you want to share there.
Sure. So let's dive in. There's a lot in there.
Sure it is.
First and foremost, I'm actually going to go to Codex first because I think we're all so excited about it internally right now. So Codex just hit 4 million users. Just to get a little sense of how fast it's growing. It went from 3 million to 4 million in about 14, 15 days.
Oh my God.
4 million in about a month. So actually the speed is, it's going exponential. That's always
It's compounding
a good sign that
faster.
customers are loving what they're getting.
Yeah.
Codex was this beginning of showing what agentic behavior could be like. So what does it mean as a developer when you can natural language say to an agent, help me build this website? Create the product rec document for me, the PRD, help me build it. So the agent goes off and builds it, but now help me quality test it, like bug bash it. Help me write documentation, usually the thing developers really don't love. I'm right there with them. And so it's doing a lot of those tasks for you. And so what
This
I
is
see
agentic
more
AI.
Our more senior developers are actually orchestrating multiple agents at a time to do work for them. Even as a CFO, I'm orchestrating multiple now agents to go off and do work for me alongside my amazing finance team. So Codex growth is just skyrocketing. We just launched Codex Labs. That's really about unlocking more deployment into the world.
So I'm not trying to make the video too busy, but let me speak on this. So even in Robinhood's earnings call that I broke down a couple days ago, they talked about agentic AI. So let's talk about it right now because it's on the screen, but you're probably listening to her because she's actually moving, and I'm going to move this off the screen so you guys can get back to that video. But the next evolution of artificial intelligence, shifting from models that simply answer to systems that act. While standard like AI, basic chat box react to prompts with a single output, agentic AI is designed to be autonomous, means it can set its own goals, plan complex multi-step workflows, and execute tasks and external tools with minimal human intervention, right? So basically, this is the AI part where it's becoming self-aware. That's where we're at right now. So agentic AI, you have a goal, find 5 new sales leads and reach out to them. It then researches the leads, drafts, personalized emails. So it is becoming self-aware and very autonomous. So that's what we're talking about when you hear agentic AI. Let's continue.
But that's only one piece of our enterprise business. From there, there's an underlying API business. So what's an API? It's just a way for a company to get access to our models, to our technology. So usually their tech teams will effectively back into our API to bring that into their world. And then of course, there's a lot of customers who need our help kind of try to figure the whole thing out. And so Frontier is the platform that we're deploying that allows an enterprise to go from maybe a more simple ChatGPT deployment, so that would give you lots of productivity moments, into becoming truly an AI native company. So think of Frontier as the whole kind of shebang in the end. It is the big sale. And that's another place where we're going to market with a lot of partners.
No, that's great. I think what we love internally is originally it was developers who adopted it. Now it's the entire company. And so as you go out further and further, I think these tools are not just for developers, but for anybody who wants to use technology, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk finance for a moment.
Yeah.
We are two CFOs.
You are.
I promise it's about to get
Let's
really
hear it.
interesting. But as a CFO, some of my favorite use cases, but I'd love to hear what you're doing at Robinhood. We just raised a fairly large funding round, and I'm excited to create access through Robinhood as well to the general public. One of
I'm
my
one of
favorite
them.
moments during that fundraising round is my team knows me well. I often joke I'm not a micromanager, but I am micro interested. And so my treasurer kind of just showed up with a dashboard. And I was like, wow, I'm really impressed. Like, I didn't know you could build dashboards too. Felt like a whole, like he created this whole treasury app. And he's like, well, I know that as we start to see funds flowing into to our bank accounts, you're going to keep asking me how much has arrived, what hasn't arrived, you need to make some calls, all of the things. And I was like, that's amazing. And so he had gone off literally while he was getting the tires changed on his car, I kid you not. He'd used our Codex tool and our internal dashboarding tool and just prompted it through word of mouth to create a dashboard that would show funds in, funds not yet arrived, by account, by amount, the whole thing.
Let me speak on this. Listen, this is about to change the game. If you can do this, you can create a real budget. You could create a live spending plan / budget. You could tell AI, give it access to your accounts and say, I want you to track my Navy Federal account, my Bank of America account, my Cal Coast account, my, what's another bank? It doesn't matter. My New York bank account. I want you to track all expenses to the penny, to the second. And then any expense that comes out, I want you to show it on the left side of the screen, on the right side of the screen or whatever. You could actually prompt it the right way and it'll show you to the penny, $5,206. You buy a candy bar at the store, $5,205, and it'll say Snickers bar over here on the right. This will change the game for people. You guys better pay attention because I'm telling you, AI is moving faster than you're moving. If you are not at least holding on to the back of that train, you will be left behind.
And I just find moments like that, you're really unlocking your team to do some great things.
Yeah.
So what have you seen recently?
Oh, so first we are fully AI pilled, and we are using it across the firm. In finance, the thing I love, it's organic. So we went to every team and we said, our North Star is just adoption. We just want you to try it. And once you see how powerful it is, people start to use it more. And then what gets really exciting is they start to champion it to other people. Hey, look at this cool thing that I did. Look at that. And so when I look at the finance team, our FP&A, we have a lot of reports and dashboards, and there's constantly things that you're monitoring. All of that's automated now, and it gets you in real time, and it's much more efficient. Treasury team, they love it. They're looking at risk, they're looking at analytics. We have tens of billions of dollars of funds that flow through our platform every single day, and so they're using that to monitor. I was talking to our corporate controller. They're using it on the technical accounting side to give them the first draft of memos. He's like, I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm also going through and refreshing. Our corp dev team is using it to go through massive amounts of data rooms and having it summarized. We have an internal team called benchmarking or competitive intelligence, similar to Amazon. They created essentially their own website that has a repository of every single report we've done going back a decade that you can now go in and search in natural language and find different things. And so the use cases are just coming up organically day after day. So yeah, it's been really fun to see what people are doing.
It is super fun.
Listen, the guy, he said, the controller, I think he said, the man said something very key. I know enough to be dangerous. Do you know enough about AI, utilizing AI? Do you know enough to be dangerous with AI? Every single one of us need to know enough to be dangerous with AI, or we are essentially left behind. And the crazy thing is, everything goes in the crawl, walk, run phase, right? Then fly. Now, the Wright brothers did it differently. They flew first. I'm just kidding. But listen, even then, They only got in the air for I don't know, less than a minute maybe, but it was successful. They landed back down, and aviation started from that 30-second flight. Whatever the first flight was, it started from that, right? And now we've got planes in the military that'll stay up for hours. We got planes in the civilian sector that'll stay up for hours, right? So just think about that, right? Everything goes crawl, walk, run. This thing's crawling. It's in infancy. It's not even crawling. Infants can't crawl. Toddlers can. But just think about it. Why would you get left behind for something that really can't move much? I'm just saying.
We do a hackathon with the finance team every quarter, and you just see people getting unlocked, but getting a little kind of geeked out as well.
Oh,
Thank you. Thanks for doing all
thank you
of
for
that.
the great technology. So another product that we saw yesterday you launched was the Images new product.
Yeah.
Super excited for that. Would love to learn a little bit more about that. And when's that coming out?
Yeah, so Image Gen 2 is our new model for images. And so for everyone who has access to ChatGPT on the consumer app, please just go wild at the moment. If you click into ChatGPT, you'll see a little icon that says images. If you click on that, what we're really trying to do is help people prompt in a way that they get something even better than they could imagine. I mean, of course, you can do a very simple prompt yourself that just says, take this image and turn it into a birthday card. I do that all the time. Because usually I've forgotten to buy the real thing, so people get a lot of text birthday cards from me. But we actually have a lot of example templates in there. There was one today I was using as an infographic, and I was kind of blown away by it. I gave it one simple prompt, and it very quickly had something that looked like I'd worked on it for maybe days, weeks. And so that is an example of, you started off, it can have a very consumer look and feel, right? Consumers have come to love images and videos and so on. We see that across social media. But then very quickly you see all these applications in areas like education, right? We find teachers tend to love images.
Before she talks about education, and I'm going to back that up 5 seconds, listen, I'm sorry, if you're an artist, your days are numbered. If you are a pencil, pen, color pencil, marker, if you are an artist, your days are numbered. I'm not saying you're out of business yet. You might still find a lot of business on Fiverr. And also, if you're making the shift to AI to design pictures and stuff for customers with prompts, you're still in business. You're still in business. Because people could always do it themselves, but what do? We run to the easiest option. And it's actually easier if you're not a prompt engineer. See, everybody should be a prompt engineer. I don't care what field you're in. In construction, you still need to be a prompt engineer to get the product you want out of AI. Everybody needs to be a prompt engineer. So if you're a prompt engineer while being an artist, it's still easier to have you design it because you'll do it better than they'll do it. So your days are numbered if you're a traditional artist. However, understand what I'm not saying. I'm not saying you're out of business yet because you probably still have plenty of clientele on Fiverr and a lot of freelance stuff, especially like people like my brothers and I who are creating an entire anime utilizing AI. You probably still have the upper hand because a lot of these AIs cannot do animation very well yet, right? They just don't get it. But you could freehand draw it like they think it and make it look exactly like what they're talking about. But that's only going to last so long because I'm telling you, imagine when AI gets to the point where it can do Dragon Ball Z kind of fights seamlessly, it's over. It's effectively over. So don't be like the guys in the factory who saw the robotics coming and they just kept doing their manual labor jobs thinking that the robots will never take over because now they've taken over and we can look back and say hindsight's 2020, but you're in that same phase right now. Here comes the AI, the next set of robots. What are you going to do? Are you going to be like them who didn't take robotics and learn how to repair and program the robots and just kept lifting, put this over here, screw this in, until you get replaced? Or are you going to be the person that learns to prompt? You get to choose.
applications in areas like education, right? We find teachers tend to love image gen because when they're creating class prep and if they're going to teach about the rain cycle, there's nothing better. And ChatGPT, you can actually go into study mode and say, I'm teaching an elementary school class, or I'm teaching a PhD. So it will kind of gradate where you're at, but then most of that is way more engaging, particularly at the younger kid level, if you can turn it back into images. So it's just one example that I really love. But behind the scenes, what are we doing?
Before she talks about that, I know I keep stopping it. I'm so excited. Listen, if you're not excited by listening to this by now, I don't know what to tell you, but listen, this will be quick. What did she just tell you? Hear what's not being said and see what's not being plainly shown, right? She just told you, if you can read between the lines, ChatGPT has different modes. So it has a study mode. It has what's the image mode? Image Gen 2, right? They're going to have an animation mode before too long. Think about that. If they have an animation mode, what do you think that's going to do to animators? I'm just saying. And my brothers and I, my brother is the genius behind this now. I have 14 years on him. So he's in that new well, he's not Gen Alpha, he's Zennial, but he is in the perfect generation and his brain is fresh for the fight on how to prompt. I create ideas all day. I populate ideas all day, but I give them to him. And as a construction worker, he jackhammers, he shovels, he cranes and knocks out. He builds it because he is the best prompt engineer I know. So we keep sending feedback. Look, you guys need to give us the times. We're trying to create an anime with your AI, and here's the roadblocks we're running into. We keep sending feedback to them. And you know what? They responded. I'm just saying.
We are continuing to make ChatGPT better and better. You'll start to see it become more and more of a personal assistant for you. And then it comes back to our business model. In order to do that, we have to keep monetizing the platform. That allows us to create more cash flow. That allows us to invest back into the business. And I'm sure we'll talk about compute in a minute, because that's the big daddy of all the investments that we do.
Yeah, so that's a great topic. We can segue to that. You said before you think compute is a strategic advantage. You just raised over $100 billion on that. Why do you think it's such a great advantage, and why do you think OpenAI is so in the forefront of that?
Yeah, so I think we have an incredible executive team, but in particular with Sam and Greg, so Sam Altman and Greg Brockman, two of our co-founders, really in some ways like they're looking around the corners. And if I think about when I first joined OpenAI, the pressure was, how do we get more compute? We are going to be heading into this agentic world. We're going to go up what Greg calls the vertical wall of demand, which right now I'm seeing. We are going to need more GPUs and actually more CPUs in order to serve this technology well. Data centers are not something that just happen overnight. And in fact, it's very difficult as a CFO to even go out and say, I want to buy more today. Because if you haven't planned that out over multi-years, and in fact, when I look at our compute roadmap, we look at it over the next decade, so we're going all the way out over 10 years, you are not going to have that compute in place. Now, compute is expensive, so we're having to be very creative with, as a starting point, if you go back about 15 months ago, we really just worked with one CSP, cloud service provider, and that was Microsoft. And they're a phenomenal partner for us. And we worked with one chip maker, which was NVIDIA. And they are still a frontier accelerator.
Let's go.
But we recognize that in order to get more compute, and also to balance risk, to manage supply chains and so on, we'd want to expand that. So today we work with just about every cloud service provider. So Oracle, Amazon, Google, even folks that might be thought of as competitors.
She didn't name them though.
CoreWeave, and then
CoreWeave.
Neoscalers, some of the new upstarts that are coming. We're also starting to get much more diversified from a chip perspective. So NVIDIA is still the largest portion of all of our chips and will remain so for a long, long time.
Heard that.
We just did a really interesting deal with a company called Cerebras.
Don't just invest in Investco. Invest with NVIDIA.
Just filed their S1. Cerebras is a low latency, so ultra fast chip. And that's an example where we look at some of the products that we're serving, and in many cases, real time is a competitive advantage. So in that case, we invested because we said, for example, developers want stuff like that. They don't want to wait and watch something coding on their screen. They want it just done. But even consumers love when images just show up fast. And if we can offer more tokens and make it lower latency, we know that helps grow the overall platform. So that's a good example where we're now investing in compute in this very multidimensional way. We're doing it so that our products can be differentiated in the market. And over the long run, we are raising capital today to be able to keep investing in that compute, because we know that more demand drives the need for more compute, which allows us to train the best models, create the best products, and drive more demand. And ultimately, for me, it creates a durable business model, because as a CFO, I always have to have eyes on what are the long-term cash flows of the business and making sure that we are optimizing also for value being created.
No, makes sense. And we build it.
So let me let him respond first.
10-year vision, but we don't have to do CapEx, luckily. It's just a traditional software company, so kudos to you and the team. I know that's quite the endeavor.
Bits and bytes, turns out, are a lot easier, but yeah.
All right, she's going to go into more. What I'll probably do is back this up to a good spot for the next video, but I will cover this in another video. OpenAI, folks, this is CFO to CFO. Right here, you have Sarah Fryar, the CFO of OpenAI. On the left, you have Shiv Verma, the CFO for Robinhood Markets. If you are not excited, I don't know what to tell you. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend. Blacksmith, out.